Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Amy, and I'm a wife and a homemaker and a mom to two little boys. And oh my goodness, there has been so much change over these last few months. There's still a lot of change in the here and now. And one of the big changes that we have made as a family that I am excited to share with you today is that we decided to combine my boys' rooms. Like I said, I'm a mom to two little boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. This is also our first full year of homeschooling. That alone is such a huge change. There's been a lot of reasons why I've decided to make this change now, and I want to get into that with you. I want to share a little bit about our story and sort of the background and reasoning why we decided to put our boys into the same room when they both previously, up until now, have had their own room. God was nudging me and pushing me and showing me and making it clear that this was a move that we needed to make, whether it's for the short term or for long term. And I can already see what a blessing it's already been having the boys sharing a room together. So knowing that I was going to combine my boys into the same room, into my oldest son's room, to entice my boys to make this change, one of the things I really wanted to do was to give the room a refresh. Back when we had our first son 5 years ago, we had just moved into this house, and my son's room was previously like a dark forest green. It had wallpaper trim all along the middle. Just trust me when I tell you that the room needed some TLC. It needed new flooring. So we had to do a complete gut of that room, knowing that we were pregnant at the time and we were expecting a little boy. So that was one of the first projects we tackled in this house. And we ended up putting in this beautiful grayish flooring that I still really love. And I went with a safe light gray color for the walls and new windows. But I was pregnant at the time. I don't know what I was really thinking, but in hindsight, I don't think I put as much attention and care into just making sure I patched holes and that I caulked the baseboards. I don't even know if I painted the baseboards. So needless to say, after 5 years, my son's room has definitely shown signs of wear. And I just knew that if I was gonna put both boys in this room, if we were gonna really do this, I wanted to not only make it exciting for them, but I wanted to revamp it for myself, because as the mom, as the homemaker, I'm gonna be in this room just as much as they are. I want it to bring me joy. I want it to be functional and beautiful. I want it to work for our family. I want this to last for a good few more years before I have to address it again. So that's where we started with this bedroom. So we'll get to that in a minute, but first, why did we make this change? Truthfully, one of the reasons why I decided to bunk them up is because my sons were asking for it. My oldest son in particular was begging me for a few months. He wanted his younger brother to sleep in his room. And at the time I was arguing with him, going back and forth with him, telling him why his brother couldn't sleep in his room. The more I had that conversation with him, the less and less the conversation became worth it, right? The more you're trying to keep them apart, the less it makes sense to keep them apart. So that was one of the first little seeds that was planted. Was my son was actually asking me a lot if his younger brother could spend quiet time in his room, sleep in his room at night, and I just felt like I was spending so much of my days fighting this battle with them of trying to keep them apart. After a little bit of a time of putting him off, he kind of let it go. Well, then my 3-year-old stopped napping. Up until this point, my 3-year-old would go down for a nap around midday, and my oldest son would go to his room or go outside for quiet time. A few months ago, my 3-year-old stopped sleeping. More days than not, he would not sleep, and I, again, would spend most of the 1.5 to 2 hours of quiet time trying to keep the boys apart. It just became such a stress for me. I started to realize I am spending so much energy every single day. No one's getting a rest here. Everyone's feeling upset or gypped in some way because literally they're not getting to play together like they want to, or I'm not getting any rest. So that was really like the nail in the coffin for me. That was really what got the wheels rolling with this whole, let's combine the rooms. Like, let's just put them in the same room. Of course, like, I think every parent is a little nervous about making a big change like that because you just don't know how it's going to affect your rhythm, your bedtime routine, all of those things. But I trusted where the Lord was leading me, honestly. And I really feel like this was another lesson from the Lord of where I need to surrender my plan for His plan. And I think He just knew. There was one final thing that really gave me a lot of conviction with doing this. I think would be the thing that really motivated me the most was I started to notice some behavior that I really did not like. As a Christian mom, one of the things that I've really struggled with my boys, and let me know if you can relate to this, is gratitude. Being grateful for what we have, valuing what we have, not just expecting that if something is broken or something goes missing or we're rough with something that mommy and daddy are just gonna go and give us another one, that we're just going to have a birthday or have Christmas and like that we're just going to receive. And there's things that we do, like we do gratitudes every single night at dinner. We go around and we share 3 things we're grateful for, and that has helped. But I realized that my kids were almost too entitled. Like having their own spaces, having their own toys, having their own everything was getting to a point where it was almost toxic, where, you know, we're a family. I wanted them to understand that we're a family. You are brothers. We have to love our brothers like Jesus loves us, right? Where we forgive, where we share, where it's not just yours and mine, it's ours. So that became like my true conviction for why this no longer was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Like, let's bunk them up and see where this goes. Where like, no, we're doing this. I don't care if it's uncomfortable for them. I don't care if it's a struggle, because I think their character building needs this time where they share a space. They have to learn how to work together, how they have to learn to respect one another's space and things, and also to just learn to share and be a family, be a piece of the puzzle and not being the sole focus. I hope that makes sense. But that was really my biggest conviction with this, was that I wanted to make sure that my kids are not going to be spoiled. I don't want them to be focused on things and what I have and what he has, and having that argument was really starting to drain me and discourage me as a mother. And so that is why we decided to join up their rooms. As with everything in my home, as with everything that I share on this channel, I knew that I wanted to do this in a way that made sense, in a way that was budget friendly, that I wasn't stressing myself out about this whole project. I wanted this to be a smooth transition. So I actually started collecting things that I knew that I was gonna want months ago. So I knew I wanted to keep their beds. I knew that I wanted to have their chests with all their blankets and their stuffies and everything. And I knew I was going to have at least a couple baskets of toys and that they'd both need a dresser. So I set out to find some new quilts for the boys' beds. They both have these matching like flannel pillowcases that I got from an estate sale last year, and I knew that those were going to be the colors that I really wanted to bring out in the room. The reds, the blues, the browns, the greens. I wanted to keep with the mountainy, like outdoorsy theme. So all the same decor went back into this room. It's just I sort of reimagined it. And of course the paint color played a huge role. I decided to go with a darker, more gray, blue, green of a color in this room. The room itself is on the northwest side of the house, so it does get some really good afternoon light, but in the morning time it can feel quite dark and cozy. So I knew I wanted to really embrace that. If it's gonna be dark and cozy in the morning, I kind of wanted it to be a color that would feel warmer and cozier than the gray was pulling. It was pulling so much cooler. It didn't feel very lifelike. It didn't feel good in there, is as simple as I can say. I am in the midst of all of the prep. Today was the boys' first day of school at the homeschool co-op, so I am taking full advantage, and little naive old me came home thinking, oh, I'm gonna get right into painting. Oh no, siree, Bob. There is so much prep work. I forgot when I first painted this room, before my oldest was born 5 years ago, I forgot how many nicks and knacks and dings and dents there were in the wall. And at the time, I just didn't care. I just painted over it. But I'm eating my words now because literally so much of what I've been had to do for the last hour is just patching up all of the holes. And now I need to go around and caulk the baseboards because again, I can't remember if we did it or maybe it's just dried out over time, but definitely along the baseboards, I don't think we ever painted them. It's one of the reasons why I really just wanted to get in this room again because it just needs some love. And I'm really thanking my lucky stars that I went ahead and painted the closet already this past winter because there's no way I would feel like tackling that now. So this is a big project, but I'm really glad we're getting it done. I'm so glad that I went with the color that I went with, and I'll put the color here on the screen because I cannot remember it off the top of my head right here, but I am so happy with this color. And like I said, I took it all the way down to the baseboard, which I'm so glad that I did that. I think it's just gonna make so much more sense long term, keeping the room clean, keeping it looking tidy, to have the baseboard not be white. One of the things that I knew I didn't like in the room was the rug. She was tired. She was tired. It's not like it was a good quality rug. It was quite thin, and at this point, I was just so sick and tired of this rug. It had so many stains. I just took it out. And honestly, I don't know for sure if I'm going to put another rug back in. I know the experts say that having a rug is anchoring for the room and all of those things. And I did feel that pressure and I did look for a rug for this room. But I started to realize I don't want to stress out about finding something just to put something in this room. If it's not right for the room, if it doesn't make sense, if it's not gonna bring me more functionality, then what am I doing? Why am I bringing another rug in this room if it's not gonna be big enough, if it's not gonna be the right color? Why do I need to rush with putting a rug back in here? And so far, I'm really loving it. The boys have not complained. The boys haven't said a thing about the fact that there's no rug in there. And honestly, I'm just gonna keep going with it. If I stumble upon the right rug, then great. But otherwise, I really wanted to share that because I know it can feel like there's certain things that you need to do or that society tells you need to do, or just like I said, the interior designers of the world and the internet. But pay attention to what actually makes sense for you. Does it fit your budget to go purchase a rug? Maybe it doesn't, like me. The other thing that I mentioned was a dresser. So my son's dresser in his room, my youngest, is way too big. To have two dressers in the room just absolutely does not make sense unless we put the dresser inside the closet. And that is another thing that I am currently on the hunt for, is for a dresser to go inside the closet for my son. For right now, for function purposes, it works completely fine to still have his clothes in his old room. There's really no rush. There's no real rush to go find a dresser that doesn't make sense and isn't gonna actually fit. Then we're not gonna be able to get in the room and get into the closet. Of course, there's other little things that maybe I would like to get someday, like some more art and frames for the walls. But again, I'm not in any rush. The room is complete in all the ways that matter. The beds are in there, they have bedding. So all in all, I am very, very happy with the room. It's been going really well. It's made bedtime go so much smoother because my youngest is absolutely wiped. And so we aren't finding ourselves having to tuck him in and sleep with him like we were before. And so that has been a huge blessing. They also have just, like I said, bonded so much more. We still have squabbles and disagreements, but we're moving through it faster, which I truly attest to the fact that they are just learning each other better. They are just learning how to respect one another because they are literally forced to share. It's their room now. It's not just Rhett's room or Heath's room, it's their room. So they're just happy and excited and proud of their new cool space that is now theirs. So I hope that this video inspired you and encouraged you. I hope that it gave you some ideas with your own children, with your own family. It doesn't have to be forever that they share this room, but for right now in their young years, I think it's gonna be so formative for them to have this experience, to have this time where they had to share a room. Who knows, maybe they'll end up loving it for years and they'll do it well into their teenage years. Who knows? We'll address that when that comes. I am so pleased and so happy with the decision that we made, and I just am excited to see where it goes from here. Let me know down below what you thought of this makeover. Let me know, what season of life are you in? How old are your kids? Did your kids bunk up? Did you bunk up when you were a kid? And what did you take away from it? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you. And I cannot wait to give you some more inspiration for your journey as a wife, mother, and homemaker. Until next time.